All right, this is Zubair on behalf of V Electronics, and in this video, we'll be talking about what happens if the inflation continues for a longer period of time. Okay, so we're talking about sustained inflation, okay, also known as chronic inflation. All right, so let me write this down over here. Okay, you have chronic inflation, sort of like your chronic illness. Now, your chronic inflation is inflation that does last over a long period of time. Okay, you have government, okay, that buys bonds. So let's say the central bank or the Federal Reserve Bank will go ahead and buy bonds from the banks. Okay, and this means that the government or the Federal Reserve Bank in this case will be pumping money into the system. All right, and when they pump money, when they keep pumping money into the system, okay, what they will do eventually is they will keep devaluing the currency. All right, so let's say this is your supply curve over here. Okay, this is your demand curve, and this is your equilibrium. All right, now in an inflation, we know that the demand curve, which is this one over here, this is your supply or aggregate demand, aggregate supply, will shift to the right. Now, if the government keeps pumping money into the system, let's say the Federal Reserve Bank, the central bank, or the Fed keeps buying bonds from the banks, from the local banks within a nation. Okay, what's going to end up happening is this demand curve will keep shifting to the right. Okay, leading to higher inflation. Okay, eventually it will go over or cross over your potential GDP, also your full employment. All right, and at this point, the demand will be more than what the suppliers can supply or produce, as a result of which, okay, it will start falling back down. What goes up must fall back down. All right, sort of like your law of gravity. All right, and this will eventually lead to a recession. Okay, however, okay, from this point till this point over here, okay, you have a long period of inflation. Okay, this is your chronic inflation. All right, so this is your chronic inflation. Okay, so what's going to end up happening is the suppliers, okay, they will raise the prices up. Okay, as we've seen on the supply curve, as to what happens to the supply curve when there is inflation. Okay, your supply curve, let's say this is your supply curve, will shift to the left, okay, causing the price levels to go up, okay, your PL to go up, and the real GDP to shrink. And as this happens, okay, the retail prices go up, okay, because obviously the suppliers would be selling at a higher price if the input of production is expensive. If the raw materials such as crude oil and gasoline is expensive, the suppliers will sell at a higher price. Okay, now higher input of production, this is higher input of production, this will go up. So retail prices will go up. As retail prices go up, okay, obviously the demand will go down because we know as prices go up, demand goes down. So demand goes down. Okay, consumer consumption will go down, which makes up a big chunk of GDP. So consumption goes down. And eventually you have, okay, your GDP. So our GDP, real GDP goes down. Okay, so once the retail prices go up, this is what happens. Now, apart from the retail prices, okay, your chronic inflation or inflation in general over a long period of time, if people expect a chronic inflation, okay, it will also increase the wages. Okay, so we've learned about the inflation index. We've learned about how, okay, different components of the economy make adjustments to inflation. And we know that the employers may make adjustments to wages as well, okay, to keep their employees or keep their workers. So when they make adjustments, let's say the wages go up because of inflation, the employers won't be able to hire the same number of workers, okay, which means unemployment may go up. They may lay off few workers here and there. All right, so unemployment will go up. If unemployment goes up again, production may go down. Okay, so production or output of labor may go down, as a result of which your real GDP will go down. And if real GDP goes down, it leads to a recession. Okay, just like over here, this leads to a recession as well. All right, now apart from your wages and adjustment to wages, okay, you also have, okay, you also have your interest rates that may go up. Okay, so your interest rates may go up because obviously to control the inflation, the federal bank, the Central Reserve Bank may bump the interest rates up. So interest rates will go up. Now, because the interest rates will go up, okay, by forecasting a chronic inflation, okay, what's going to end up happening is, okay, your investment will go up, okay, which means that consumers will invest more and spend less, okay, and consumer spending goes down. And again, as consumer spending goes down, investment goes up. Okay, we have the same result as over here. Okay, where consumer spending goes down and your real GDP goes down. All right, leading to a recession. Okay, now there is another word for a chronic inflation that reduces the real GDP. Okay, apart from depression, apart from recession, you also have stagflation. Okay, now this has to do with inflation itself. So if you have chronic inflation, okay, if you have chronic inflation, which obviously lasts a long time, it will eventually lead to stagflation. All right, in a stagflation, okay, not only does the currency get devalued, not only does the purchasing power go down, but it impacts the economy as well, like we've seen in these two examples, or these three examples. Okay, so you have stagflation. Okay, where, okay, inflation goes up and GDP goes down, leading to high unemployment. Okay, so your unemployment goes up. All right, so that would be it for this video. On behalf of V Electronics, this is Obey. Have yourself a great day.